Coming up, it's the Disney Infinity Stone episode. We'll tie this in beautifully up next. And I didn't get the intro right. Here we go. Well, I joked with our owner, Leslie, about just upping the budget for the show and throwing us a bone. I'm just kidding. She does great. She treats us like royalty. But I'd be remiss if I didn't want to tie this into my good friend, Jeff, broadcasting from Aulani right now. Um, I totally missed, and so I totally missed the proper intro of the show. Welcome to the Universe of Magic podcast. We have Alyssa, we have Jen, but we have Jeff in Hawaii. How ridiculous
and Julia.
Is that? Yes, and Julia, her lovely daughter. Yes. Man, I'm flustered. But I got to bring out the Infinity Gauntlet, so we're good. So anyway, guys, yeah, we're discussing everything tonight. We called it the Infinity Gauntlet because there's 6 brands, some of which you might not really be aware of, but we book it all through Moments of Magic Travel. So get your free, no obligation quote at Moments of Magic Travel and momentsofmagictravel.com. And for that, Alyssa, I'm going to hand it over to you and you can get us started.
Woohoo! All right. Funny side note, totally related. My 4-year-old watched Infinity War 2 weeks ago when he had the flu. He was obsessed. I thought he would be scared, but he loved it. So for those who we lost Jen and John's still there.
Yeah, I got it. I'm getting there.
There we are. I'm small though. Okay, there we go.
There we go. Proper.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be an episode without us working the technical stuff. So The Infinity Stones, we all know that there's 6 of them, right? But there's 6 Disney brands specifically that we book, and we're gonna go through all the brands and give you our firsthand knowledge of each brand so that you know what you need to know if you are interested in booking that brand. So obviously, as John said, we're agents with Moments of Magic Travel. We will take care of all of this for you at no cost to you. But we figured we go through each one, talk about what it is, what you need to know, what your options are. And we're going to probably start with the ones that people don't book as often, but I think super cool information to have. And I think you guys are going to probably teach me a few things too. So, why don't we start with Aulani? Because you guys are there. Tell us how it's been and what viewer would want to know.
Yeah, I mean, of the 6 brands, I think Aulani is probably one of the most unique just because it doesn't have a Disney park related to it. I mean, I know we have some other brands that don't, like the Cruise Line and Adventures by Disney, but Aulani is a totally different vibe. I have a lot of families who come to me and they're like, we really want to do a Disney vacation, but does it have to be a park? We want that resort vibe. We want that relaxation vibe. And this is, in my opinion, the way to do it. Cruises are the second best way, I think, to have that relaxation vibe. But Aulani, situated in Honolulu, the island of Honolulu over in Oahu. I think it's Ko'olina, I think is the technical term of the town that they're in. But Aulani is a resort that is filled with the characters. We got Minnie right behind me right now doing pictures with kids. We got Stitch over here to the right. And we're looking at the setting of the luau tonight where all the characters are going to be, interfacing with the families and just giving them a good old Hawaiian luau. I think the biggest thing to think about when you're thinking about Aulani, Hawaii is technically, I think considered one of the more pricier flights from the continental United States. So I think that's pretty important for your family to, factor in when you're looking at the budget of your vacation. There are obviously, I think, an easier way to get over here, from the west coast. If you're already situated in California, Hawaiian Airlines flies right out of LAX directly over here. We actually are, over on the east, I wouldn't say the East Coast, but we're, Midwest. We're in Michigan. We took a flight out of Detroit, and it was a direct flight a couple days ago. And that's the first time I've ever done that. We went
a direct flight from Detroit?
Detroit.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was what? 9.5 hours? 9.5 hours. So a little bit of Tylenol PM and a couple naps later, and we were there. It's the first time we've ever done that. I've done some long flights before with our Adventures by Disney trips. We done, I think it was 19 hours to Hong Kong. But 10 hours is pretty intense. If you're thinking about doing that, just make sure you factor in that, you're going to get up, walk around the plane quite a bit. A lot of families from the East Coast, Midwest, they'll do a dual flight. They'll fly over to like Seattle or California and then pick up the flight that comes over. We wanted to be here early. That's another important thing. When you do those dual flights, the layovers, you typically aren't going to get into Hawaii until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And we done that last year, and we basically kind of blew our very whole first day because we didn't get here till late at night. We wanted to learn from that mistake. So we flew in. We were here by with the tailwind.
3 p.m. Hawaii.
3 p.m. Hawaii time.
Okay.
So we still had the whole day ahead of us with the time change because we left Detroit like at 10 a.m. But with that time change, 5 hours behind, we got here at 3 o'clock. So we still had the whole day ahead of us.
Beautiful.
Aulani has the Disney Vacation Club side to it, and they have the general public side to it. You don't have to be a Disney Vacation Club member to come here. Definitely, if you are a Vacation Club member, it's a great way to use your points, which is what we're doing. We're using some of our points here. The biggest thing to realize when you're coming, and I think a way to make it more affordable for families, is that like the rooms here have pretty much full kitchens. If you get a 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, small kitchenette, if you're doing like a deluxe studio, and even the general public rooms, just the regular, I guess you call them resort view rooms, they have coffee makers, they have refrigerators, and I've been told that you can actually ask for microwaves if you need them in the room for medical reasons. So, an agent like ourselves can probably help you figure that out. Aulani has got a private beach right in front. I'm sure we can put some links in the comments later on and show you guys a little layout of it. But they have 2 giant towers, and inside of the 2 towers is call it their rainforest, their lazy river, all the different pools, the hot tubs. There's adult-only area pool. There's adult-only area hot tubs. There's many bars. There's restaurants throughout situated. And they have their own private lagoon, which they share right next door with the Four Seasons. If you guys have ever watched the Sonic 2 movie.
We just watched that.
The Sonic 2 movie where they're at the hotel to get married. That is the hotel they shot that at.
The Four Seasons is.
Yep. Yeah. Oh. My son Taylor spent the whole morning going over there and finding all the areas that they shot the movie in.
I would be interested to go back and watch that and see if you can see Aulani in the background at all. I didn't even think. Yeah.
You can see Aulani in the movie.
Cool.
So check that out.
Oh, that's neat.
Yep. They share the same lagoon, and the lagoon part is really important because it's not just a beach off the ocean. It's an actual private lagoon that feeds into the ocean. So that lagoon is always calm. They have a break wall up. I don't know if John can, possibly pull up a picture while we're talking, but they have if you are doing in the background, John, just type in Aulani Lagoon, and there's a break wall that, allows you to come in through the middle of it. And that break wall separates the ocean from the lagoon. It is a quiet, nice ride. There's people out there all the time learning how to paddleboard, snorkel. It's just a really nice, laid-back vibe to the ocean where you don't feel like you're getting knocked over by the waves.
Nice.
Aulani's wonderful. They have character meet and greets throughout the day. It's kind of like similar to a Disney cruise where you can just look up in the app and see where all the characters are going to be at. It is not a all-inclusive resort. That is important for our families to know. They have restaurants all over the place here, quick service and, if we're using Disney speak, quick service and table service, but they're all a la carte. You pay for them. They have character meals here, character breakfasts. We're going to be doing that later this week. What else am I missing, Julia? A lot of things that you can think about.
They have the spa, right?
Yeah, they have a spa, fitness center, which I've been utilizing. The spa is very similar to Senses, in the sense of how Disney does it. There's a great picture John put up, so you can see.
Oh, good job.
Yeah.
You can see the two
Oh, it's
towers.
huge.
You can see the two towers in the middle, and then the rainforest pools and all that right in the middle down below. And then you can actually see the Four Seasons off to the left there, where the Sonic movie was shot on. Those are the only two hotels that share this lagoon. There's a few private residents over to the right, and they're just doing nothing more than so.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, what do you think some of our families might have questions on? I mean, those are the things mainly. Would you guys have any questions on it?
I could think of one, because I've been asked this before. Would you say the upgrade for certain views is worth it, or is really any view great?
Great question. So last year, tell them about the view we had last year.
Last year we had more of like a Hawaiian island view with a little sprinkle of like the conference center and the parking lot. So we kind of had more of like the island view last year. This year is more of the view of the rainforest pool area in the middle with a little bit of the ocean in the background.
Is it worth it? That's the question.
Yeah.
So I think for the families that really want that beach vacation and they want to really indulge themselves, I definitely think it's worth it. We could have gotten a 2-bedroom on the island side for probably 50 to 75 less points, or maybe in dollars for the families that's just looking to do it as a vacation, not a Disney Vacation Club vacation. Probably will add anywhere from $700 to $1,200 to your full week, depending on the time of year you come. Do I think it's worth it? Absolutely. I have enjoyed every single morning, evening, night, sitting out on the balcony, taking some calls. I've actually it always happens when I travel. I've already had a couple people reach out about vacations. They see you post and we got to make that vacation with Jeff or with Alyssa or with Jen. So I've had a couple calls I've taken on that balcony, and I love the setting.
Nice.
I love the setting. So yes, I think it is worth it, Alyssa. If you can plan it into your budget. Obviously, if you're really budget conscious, the rooms are the identical same. Whether you get an island view looking at the parking lot and the mountains, or whether you get an ocean view and pool view, they're the exact same amenities. Nothing is different. It's just that view out on your balcony. But if you can budget it in, I think it's worth it.
Great.
What about transportation? So once you get to the airport, does Aulani have a shuttle?
They do not have a shuttle from the airport.
Okay.
However, the choice that most families are doing is an Uber or a Lyft or a taxi. I think there is a service that we can probably link later that does directly with Aulani, some suggestion ones, but they don't have their own direct Disney Magical Express type, setup. Obviously, rental cars are probably very popular too because it allows you to see the island. The island here you can get to almost anywhere within a 45-minute to an hour drive. For instance, just thinking off a sub question off of that, Jen, we spent yesterday, we went and saw Pearl Harbor. We done a couple of the hikes that are very popular here in Aulani, going up the mountain. Tomorrow, my wife and my son are going to be going scuba diving in Honolulu, and we're not going to be too far from what's very popular in Honolulu is a huge swap meet they have in the old University of Hawaii Aloha Stadium parking lot. If you're looking for trinkets, t-shirts, surfboards, anything to take home as souvenirs, that's the place to go. It's a huge swap meet. We done it last year. We're going back tomorrow, so we're going to be doing that. And then later this week, we're going to go over to the Dole Plantation. And, Disney nerds love the Dole Whip, right? This is the best place to get it. Fresh pineapples cut right off the trees and made into Dole Whip. So we're going to go over to the Dole Plantation, and then we're going to go over to the North Shore and have dinner and watch some of the surfers. A very popular place to watch the surfers. So lots to do on this island. Honolulu is great. So a rental car would be how I would do it. So we did.
Okay. I was going to say, and two, are some of those excursions that you're doing, are they excursions through the resort, or are you just doing them solely on your own?
So you can do the excursions through them. We set up the ones with the scuba, through Aulani.
Okay.
But everything else we just done ourselves. Pearl Harbor, for instance, it's a national park, so it's 100% free to get into. It doesn't cost anything to get in there.
Right.
and tour the buildings. If you want to go over to where the USS Arizona is, it costs anywhere from $30 to $40 for a a little ferry over to that memorial site. It's just a little 2-minute ride right across the bay to see where the USS Arizona is. And there's also a submarine that they have there that was one of the submarines that was recovered that you can tour as well. They do have a 2-day ticket there that allows you to do everything. And then all the hikes were all free. It's just they're in neighborhoods, around Honolulu that's got mountainous terrain and ways to jump up there. So, yeah, you can set up things from here, and the excursions will pick you right up in the front. They have a little excursion and concierge desk. It's just a wonderful place.
Nice.
Jeff, I have a question. So you've booked Aulani a bunch. How many people, and do you think this is an advisable idea to break up the monotony of the flight, to do the flight to California, a couple days at Disneyland, and then to Aulani? Like, how many people, when you book flights, do you do that for?
I've done it for 2 families, but I've actually probably talked to a half a dozen this trip already that came from Disneyland. One newlywed couple that was right in our chairs, right up on the deck here today. They actually spent 3 days at Disneyland and just jumped their next flight right over here. It does require, booking a lot of one ways, but it's easy to do. We can actually help, with that process. We're not going to be able to probably book the airfare per se, but we can help. I offer that a lot. It's my help,
Mhm.
But yeah, that's a good question, John. A lot of people would do that. It's kind of like the Walt Disney World land and sea type thing with Disney World and the cruise line right there. This is the equivalent of that for the West Coasters. They do Disneyland, grab that 2 or 3 days right there, and then jump on that Hawaiian airline flights over to the islands.
Yeah.
The great thing about Hawaii too is you're in a chain of islands. You got Maui not too far away. You got Kauai not too far away. There's a lot of puddle jumpers that you can jump on and go visit some of the islands if you're over here. We're here for a week. We're not going to island hop this time. We're trying to fill it up with everything to do there is on Honolulu. We're here with Julia's grandparents, my in-laws, because this was the 50th state that they have to hit to beat all 50 in a lifetime.
Yay!
So we made that happen for them.
Nice.
So
That's
So
awesome.
I'm going to try and keep us on time because we still have 5 more brands to get through.
yes,
No.
that's Aulani.
A lot. And we've done an episode with a fellow agent all on Aulani. I feel like now that you've been twice, we need to do another updated episode to go through everything. After you can talk about all these experiences.
Yeah, when we get back, we can do that. If anyone's looking for that information, all of us can help. Julia's even an agent too. Julia at momentsofmagictravel.com. So,
so how about with Julia here? Should we dive into Disneyland Paris? We're
Let's
going
do
on the other way.
Yeah.
So Jen and Julia, what can you tell us about Disneyland Paris?
So Julia, I'm gonna let you lead. You talk. Just tell us what's going on.
You like about it.
Yeah.
What you remember.
So Disneyland Paris, we went back in 2014. So I was a freshman in high school, so forgive me if my brain is just a tiny bit foggy, but
I'll fill in some gaps there.
yeah, so we went actually through Adventures by Disney at the time.
Yes and no. We done the start of the vacation at the resort on our own, and then we had a day built into it from Adventures by Disney.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, you walk in. There's 2 parks. Was it Disneyland
Paris and Walt Disney.
Disneyland Paris and Walt Disney Studios Park.
Yep, Walt Disney Studios.
So.
And they're connected right in the middle. Just like Disneyland in California.
Disneyland in California. Okay.
Nice.
With the downtown is Disney area. You got Ghirardelli and a lot of the same restaurants that they have down there. So it's a very similar vibe to Anaheim.
Yeah.
Very similar vibe.
And they have They have 3 resorts there too, don't they?
Yep. There's 3 resorts. They have the shopping district, the 2 parks. It's really got a very similar Disneyland vibe to it.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure that's the reason they set it up that way.
The rides and a lot of the rides are very similar too. They're just like themed a little differently. Like Haunted Mansion is Phantom Manor, or Space Mountain is Star Wars Hyperspace Mountain, and Indiana Jones has their own version of the Temple of Peril, and Ratatouille, the original Ratatouille ride that we have at Walt Disney World. That was the original one from Paris. That one's there too. I mean, they have a lot of the very similar ride aspects. It's just
Tell them about Crush's Coaster.
Crush's Coaster.
Oh my gosh.
That's another one.
I hear that's one of the most amazing rides.
I thought it was gonna be something like I don't know. I thought it was gonna be a little kiddie type coaster. You know. So
You get on there and you're like, whoa.
I was like, what the heck? I mean, I think my son still got the video of me like making all these noises on the ride. It was seriously one of the most intense coasters I've been on. It was
Wow.
phenomenal, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like the original Ratatouille ride, the same thing that they brought to Epcot, you know, at Walt Disney World was over there. I think the Big Thunder Mountain is the best version of it over in Paris.
Okay.
Longer, a little bit more intense, a lot more, I'm not going to say inversions, but high embanked turns. It was definitely an upgrade to the American versions of Big Thunder Mountain. The culture is a little bit different over there. You know, the food is going to be a little bit different. There's a lot more focus on their carbs and their breads over there. You know, it's right in the middle of Paris. So you got that Parisian type culture. You know, I noticed for me, and this isn't a knock on it. It's just the Parisian culture. But you know, there's not a huge focus like there is in America on very deodorant. You know, so there's a little bit of a different you know, smell. We'll call it that when you're walking around the parks. But they're probably a lot healthier than us too. You know, with some of the perfumes we put on our body. But just a great experience. They're open in the colder months, unlike the Disney parks in America. We went, you know, during the warmer months, but I've seen some beautiful pictures at Christmas time of snow covered in the parks.
That's on my bucket list. I want to go to Disneyland Paris in the snow. I know you can't really plan it that way.
And isn't Disneyland Paris where they are going to bring next year the new Frozen land
Yes.
that's coming to Disneyland Paris? I think.
I don't remember.
We'll have to look that one up.
Yeah.
Adventure World. Adventure World is what it's called.
And I know that their Adventures campus is bigger than like Disneyland. Like they have, I think, a coaster over there and stuff too, which I think is the eventual plan of Disneyland California. But
It is Disneyland Paris.
It is Disneyland Paris. You're right, Jen.
Okay.
nice.
It's very easy to get to too. The nice thing about Disneyland Paris, if you fly into Charles de Gaulle, you know, it's on the subway route, so you can jump on the subway right out of the airport.
Oh,
And
great. I was just going to ask you, how easy is it to get to?
Yep, it's a stop right there. There's actually a very easy way to get to it too. Like if you're over in England, which is what we did when we came over. We went to England first with Adventures by Disney, and then came over to Paris. We just took the Channel, the high-speed train underneath the water, and it had a stop right there at Disney World. So,
Nice.
or Disneyland rather, Disneyland Paris. So it is very easy to get to from the major points of transportation in Paris. And I mean, what more can you ask for too? If you want to add on a Paris element to your Disneyland Paris vacation, you're already in the city of love. You know, you can go visit the Eiffel Tower. You can see a lot of those, a lot of the scenes from the Impressions de France movie at Epcot.
Nice.
Jeff's favorite.
I
But
love
for
it.
sure, it's a beautiful park.
How'd they get that in?
I think when we went there last, it was still split between the Parisian government and Disney on ownership, and I think it's went back to Disney now.
I think so too.
Full. And so, you know, I guess that's not near here or there, but just something to remember, you know, as far as the race is going.
Yep.
So if I'm a person that wants to book Disneyland Paris, what do I need to narrow down, or what do I need to figure out just to book the trip?
Well, the great thing is we now have that as one of our 6 Infinity Stones. All you really have to do is call one of us. We have a service that we use, and they are open during American hours, which is great for us. It's very simple. All you really have to do is call us, or, you know, us, the agents. We give them a call, and they piecemeal the quotes for us. You know, I booked 2 or 3 of the Paris vacations for families, and it's a really simple process. It's very similar to when, you know, how we call the 800 number over at Universal. You know, they put everything together for you. They'll send it out, and it's that simple. It's really that simple.
How many days do you think
Nice.
someone needs there? Like maybe they're doing a whole Paris trip. They're going to do some in the city, some of the parks.
I would say probably anywhere in the vicinity of 3 to 4 days for the Disneyland Paris element of it. And then if you want to do Paris, all that, I would say a full week would be great. 3 or 4 days, similar to what we would advise for like Disneyland and Anaheim, or, you know, I would say 3 to 4 days.
That's great.
Okay. Awesome.
We're going to move to a different location. We're going to go off just for 1 second, and then you guys keep going with the other brands.
Great.
All right.
Jen, how about should we move then to Disneyland California while they're
Sure. Might as well just go right over to Disneyland California. So a lot very similar to Disneyland Paris. We talked about there's 2 parks. You have Disneyland, and then why am I blanking?
California Adventure.
Thank you very much. Duh. I've got it right here. Yeah. California Adventure. Sorry. So, and there's, again, you have Downtown Disney right in between. You can fly into LAX. You can fly into John Wayne. Disneyland is in amongst neighborhoods. So it's a little bit different. You can stay in the Disney bubble. There are 3 hotels that are right there that you can get into Disneyland through. But there are some other good neighbor hotels that are on the outskirts. Something big to remember about Disneyland is they don't do fireworks every night because they are in the neighborhood. So we get, I think Friday, Saturday are your firework nights if you want to go during a show. Oh, we can't hear you, John.
It's also based off of availability. Like in the holidays, they're a little bit more. In spring break, they're a little bit more lenient with that. So,
right. Yep. Yep.
But things work so different. Like I remember seeing like an influencer post that like they have to do like a wind check. Like they put balloons or something to like test like how strong the winds are. And if it's too strong, they can't do the fireworks again because they're in like a neighborhood.
Yeah,
so like fire precautions or whatever.
Yeah,
like, which Walt Disney World is not a thing. So
right.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a lot of different things at California Adventure that you get. You get Pixar Pier, which it is like a boardwalky pier type carnival atmosphere, kind of. And there are lots of different rides and coasters, and then different areas like San Francisco, which is, you know, kind of an Asian influenced little restaurant area. I mean, there's just some really cool little areas. I love the Incredicoaster because when you go through the upside down loop, you smell the Jack Jack's Yum Yum cookies.
Oh, you
and the
do?
stand. They make a point of it in the ride. The voices are in the ride saying, "Here, Jack Jack Yum Yum cookie." You go through that, and the stand is right underneath the coaster, and they pipe the smell right up through, so you smell the cookies while you're on the coaster. So that's pretty cool.
Last time I was there, it was still Paradise Pier, so like it didn't have our overhaul, so that was not a thing. So that's really cool.
It's pretty cool. So let's see what else is pretty cool. They do have a little, very small monorail there. It goes from Downtown Disney back to Tomorrowland. So, and that's it. It's just little back and forth. That's all it is.
So you do need a ticket, right, in order to get on it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. You must have a ticket. Yep. Yep. What else? About Disneyland, I would give a Disneyland vacation a good 3 days. You could probably get through each park in a day, but they're so immersive, and you can just spend some time strolling around. You've paid for the vacation. Why not take advantage of being there, and just walk around and look at all the intricate details that they have put in. The Cars Land is one of my favorite places there because it is just so immersive and interesting. There's a lot of really neat things. So the test track in Disney World is a racers
Radiator Springs racers.
Radiator Springs Racers. Thank you. My brain is not working today. So it's a totally different vibe. So from the movie when Sally and Lightning do their little drive through the countryside, it's kind of like that. And they drive through the countryside, and it's pretty cool. So but yeah, it's a very different, smaller park, but they pack a big punch. It's the OG park. It's the going down Main Street, and you see a different castle. It's a little bit smaller. It's a petite castle. It's petite. And but it still has a great impact, and the Disneyland is a really great trip. And again, you can incorporate, a couple days in LA. You can go over to Disneyland, experience that for a few days, and then there's so many other places that are close to Disneyland you can travel to, make a nice week out of it. I have a couple families that are going to be doing that in about 2 weeks. So
Jen, what about for families who a little bit more budget conscious? They can't afford maybe to stay at the three, the Grand California and Pixar, hotel, or what about, do they have good neighbor hotels, kind of like Disney World does?
Yep, they sure do. There are several good neighbor hotels. And the nice thing about some of these good neighbors is they're right outside the entrance to Disneyland. So there's 2 or 3 of them that you can actually walk right to the entrance of Disney World. It's a little bit of a walk, but it's not bad. I did it personally. And then there are several others that are sprinkled right around those neighborhoods. Some of them do offer free shuttles, but Uber and Lyft are a great way to get there pretty quick. So yeah.
What I tend to recommend right across the street is that Marriott Anaheim theme park entrance. All of my clients really love that one because it literally is walking distance, and it's like a Marriott, like you get taken care of. But I have had several people, what you just said, that stayed a little further away to save more money, or maybe they wanted a suite and like there really aren't very many right across the street, but like an Uber was less than $10, but the shuttle through the hotel was like $6 a person each way. So like it really isn't that bad at all. You can definitely save a lot of money.
I think it's the art bus. I think the art bus is about $6 a day for all you can ride, and it was really convenient. I forgot the hotel I stayed at last year, but man, Disney Good Neighbor hotels, Disney doesn't put their name on things unless it's a good hotel.
Yep.
Like I can truly speak to that, because you're like, oh well, I'm staying a mile away from Disneyland. Like how it was pretty easy, and for the bang for the buck. California is a challenge to get to, especially when you're on the East Coast, but the OG vibe, like I remember the cast members were spectacular. Like I went around Easter last year, and I was sitting there watching fireworks in what used to be a bra shop. Like they used to have like a bra shop at Disneyland. What? Like I wouldn't have even known, and you Google it and it's like a slice of history and like Walt Disney. So, yeah, it was great. So
I know one of the things that stood out to me too, and it's just something to think about when we're booking for our families or when you're thinking about it. The Pixar Hotel. I had a few families who stayed there and said it doesn't really feel like it's the same as Disneyland or the Grand Californian. And there's a reason. It's because it was purchased by the Disney Corporation as another brand, and they retrofitted it to Disney.
Correct.
So it's something to just remember when you're thinking about it. They have done a wonder, because I've stayed at all 3 of them. They have done a wonderful job of really retrofitting it and making it more and more like Disney with every year that passes, including adding restaurants and characters and, meet and greets there. So, but it's just something to be aware of when you're thinking about those 3 hotels. That one was not necessarily built from the ground up by, Walt's company.
Correct.
So they've done such a good job retheming it to Pixar. Like
and they've made it very bright and vibrant and interesting, and it's pretty neat.
And they bought it because it was, within a very quick foot distance track, to the back part of or to California's Adventure. You can enter back there in the Pixar land.
And that's another great point to mention is that the Grand Californian and Pixar Pier both have private entrances into the parks. So, yep.
Yep. The only other thing I want to ask you, Jen, about Disneyland, I'm a huge Marvel fan, and I know they've already been able to do more there than at Disney World just because of the Universal agreement they have in Florida. I hear they're doing more. There's going to be even more Marvel here coming in the next.
They're going to expand. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. They're a couple of differences. So, their Tower of Terror is the Guardians escape.
Galaxy
Mission Breakout.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's
I am
amazing.
terrible
That's all
tonight.
you need to say.
It's awesome. And it's a very different ride with screens in front of you as you drop, and the characters. It's a video of the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. It's pretty amazing. It is pretty amazing. And the theming they do at holiday times is incredible. Especially Small World, believe it or not, is lit up. It's huge. It's like one of their features because it's one of the original rides, and it's amazing. The building is gorgeous, lit up at night. They've seen the Haunted Mansion to Jack and
if you've
Sally.
If you've seen the movie Tomorrowland, that's the version of It's a Small World that they featured, where he jumped on the little boat on the outside and went inside.
Yeah.
The original.
I have some beef with Disneyland though, because I'm going in 3 weeks, and 2 trips out of 2 trips, It's a Small World is closed.
No, dang it!
So upset. Everyone says it's so much better, and I was so excited, and it's closed.
You know, the one thing that I really, really loved is that they kept the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea ride, but rethemed it to Nemo.
Yep.
So you still get to climb down into the little submarines, but it's a different movie. But I love that original ride is still there. It's pretty great. And then the Matterhorn bobsleds is rough as anything. And John, you can definitely attest to that. I saw your video. It is a body slammer, but it's still pretty awesome. You got to go.
All right, let's.
I was going to comment before we move on. The Nemo thing, ouch! Like my joints were screaming at the end of that trip.
Yeah, don't
very tight.
Don't go on that ride if you're claustrophobic at all.
Yes,
But great ride. And Matterhorn, I love it. I love being thrown around on a coaster, and that thing definitely does the job.
So good luck, Alyssa.
Thanks. I know. Last time I went on it when I was 24, this 35-year-old body is not the same. So we'll see how it goes. All right, we're gonna jump into Jeff. I am gonna assume this is your favorite brand.
It is.
Yeah, so Adventures by Disney. We could talk, and we have talked for an entire episode about this, but can you give us the gist of what Adventures by Disney is?
It is my favorite of the 6 brands. It's definitely a unicorn, for us agents. We don't have as many families. And Alyssa, I bow down to you. You've actually booked more of those than I have. And you just had your first recent one.
And there was two rooms.
Oh, nice.
Woohoo! I am very excited for this family because it's the grandmother's bucket list trip. Her descended relatives are from Budapest, and the Danube ends in Budapest, so they're going to get to spend a couple days there.
And you can tell just from Alyssa's description there why it's a very different brand. Adventures by Disney is a brand, from the mouse that allows you to see the world through Disney's eyes. It's not Disney in your face. You don't have character meet and greets unless you obviously pick one of the itineraries with the parks associated, like the China one has got the Hong Kong and the Shanghai park included in it. Paris has the opportunity to go over to Disneyland Paris. So there are opportunities to do the parks, but it's really not meant to be that. Disneyland or the Adventures by Disney brand takes you around the world through the eyes of 2 Disney tour guides. You always have one of the guides who is from the country you're going to be in, native, but they speak really great English, so there's not a barrier there. And then the other tour guide is from the United States, so there's an immediate assimilation and connection, from somebody that's from back home with you. and they're taking you via bus, via train, via airplane to different landmarks around the country that you did. I've done 8 of these trips. I've done I call it the 4 biggies in Europe. We've done England, France, Germany, and what am I missing? No, the European ones. Italy, France, Germany, and Paris. No, I said France. I'm missing a 4th one still.
Gonna drive them crazy.
Germany, Italy,
Italy,
England and France. So we done those 4, and then we done European or the Asian, Japan and China, and then a couple domestic ones. A lot of people don't realize Adventures by Disney does U.S. domestic ones, Grand Canyon, and then we done a California one that included Disneyland in California. So the Adventures by Disney trips we call them unicorns because it's the more expensive of the Disney brands. Just to give you some perspective, the European trips that we did for a 7 to 9 day itinerary, they fluctuate depending on year to year and what they take in, take out. It's going to roughly cost you about $5,000 per person, but that includes all of your hotels. It includes all of your transportation in country. It includes 75 to 80% of your meals, and it includes just all the day-to-day personal service you get. I'm going to give you an example. My son's a huge soccer player, so when we went through Europe, he really wanted to get a soccer jersey and a soccer ball from each country. These guides produced it for him. They get that kind of stuff for you. Little things too. I'm a big meal person when it comes to drinking my water. They didn't have that in some of these countries. They would go out and find that equivalent for me, just so I had something, in my water. So it's just little things and big things. The personal service. They would take your kids at night, show them a Disney movie for movie night, so you and your wife can go have a romantic dinner in town or something. In Germany, we stayed in a castle that was inspired by the Beauty and the Beast movie. In Italy, they got us into the Sistine Chapel after hours when it was closed. If you've ever seen the Sistine Chapel video on Google, people are walking through there, elbow to elbow and shoulder to shoulder. We were in there, just 35 of us, for 2 hours. I laid on my back for an hour just taking pictures of the ceiling.
Which is another thing. You're not allowed to take pictures in there either, but Disney you can.
But Disney allows you to, we got to go in the France itinerary. We went to the Eiffel Tower before they opened in the morning. And we went not just to the regular deck that you see, but the higher deck. We went to the higher deck and got to sit up there and take as many pictures for as long as we wanted. So that's the personal service that Disney gives you, is this front of the line access, after hours access. We were in the Louvre in France for our farewell dinner after hours. Wow. Got to see what I thought was going to be this giant picture of the Mona Lisa on the wall. I think this thing wasn't much bigger than an 8x10. But still, we were in there by ourselves, and just little things like that. It's amazing. A lot of it feels like the Amazing Race TV show. You go from location to location, especially the Asian trips that we did. A lot of plane jumping. Yeah. But what was your favorite part? Probably tell them about the connections you made with the other kids your age.
Yeah. A lot of the trips we went on was when I was in high school, and the guides are awesome at doing a really good job of connecting the kids together. They call them FOJAs, which is Friends of Junior Adventurers. So it's all of those junior adventurers that are traveling together. I made so many special bonds with so many of those kids that I still talk to this day, because the guides, they see these like shy, timid teenagers, tweens, young kids, and they're like, all right, let's push them together and let's make them friends for life. And it really does. Like, the guides there are so good at taking the singulars and putting them together and making them a family. Like, even some of the families that we went on, we still talk to.
And we've hung out with.
I think you've actually booked a couple vacations for some of the people that we've been on the trip for before. So.
Nice.
Absolutely. It's just you become friends with these people because you're spending so much time day in and day out. The hotels they put you up in are 5-star and above. They're incredible hotels. that they put you up in, and they're always some type of tie-in to a Disney movie or show or something close to it. You know, I can remember in Germany, we stayed in a hotel that was right outside of the giant fountain you see in Epcot, Germany, when you're in there. We walked out our front door, and there's the real version of it, you know? So there's just a tie-in to everything, but it's an amazing brand. I can't say enough about it. We actually took a break on doing these trips when I had to put her through college, and my son graduates this May. You know, so we're finally going to get a raise back a little bit, if you want to call it that. So Dana and I are ready to pick up that Adventures by Disney again. We already have our next one planned out. We're going to do Norway next.
Nice.
And then I think Dana wants to do Costa Rica after that. So we're looking forward to, in our retirement, jumping on these trips again, because they are just amazing. So Adventures by Disney, Brian. Awesome. What questions you got?
Perfect.
I mean, I can you take me with you on your next one?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I did want to note real quick though. So when you do book the Adventures by Disney with us, you get an equivalent of onboard credit, right? So you get $50 per every $1,000 of like your base trip, and we give it to you on a Visa gift card or some kind of gift card so that you can then spend it on whatever the heck you want. So like my clients that just booked, both rooms are getting like $650. Like, and
beautiful.
They could have booked it on their own, gotten the same promotions and everything, but now they're getting an extra $650 per room, like just because they booked through me. So, which is a great lead-in to talking about Disney Cruise Line, right? Yes, we should. John, did you have anything you want to add or ask?
No, I think I was just going to bring up the one question I think I had was, say, like, these are small groups, and like, if there happens to be one person that annoys you, how do they avoid that? But that's another question for another time. So
no, actually, it's a simple and easy question. I've never encountered that, John. You know, you instantly become families because you have this love of Disney. You have this connection for wanting to do the country that you're going to. I haven't seen any personality differences, to be honest with you. But if there was one, I know that they would handle it in a way that would be very transparent, and you wouldn't even know that was there. I would tell you that one of the coolest things that I can remember about one of these trips was not only how these people bonded, John, but more importantly, how the connections even stayed after. So it's really kind of the opposite view. Like we still get Christmas cards from half the families we went on with, because at the end of the trip, everybody trades addresses and emails, and everyone's adding each other on social media, and yeah, it's just they're friends for life, and they're very small groups, 35 to 40 people, and they do have adult only versions of these trips for those that want to go without the junior adventurers and the kids. There are an adult only flair. Usually one of the 4 of every month, will be dedicated to that. So, awesome. Adventures by Disney, great brand.
So good. We will book them for you.
My unicorn is not only one of those, Alyssa, but I want to get the 30-day around the world one.
Ooh, the private jet.
There you
one.
go.
Private jet.
There you go. Private jet.
Please call us if you want to book that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's jump into Disney Cruise Line. I keep saying I want to be the next Cindy Moeller because I freaking love booking Disney Cruise Line. So, and I think that it's expanded so much in the last several years. So like, there's just so many options. So really kind of what I was going to paint it as was, if someone says, I want to go on a Disney cruise. And usually my first question is, okay, do you have any like must-haves about that? Is it the port you want to leave out of, or the ports you're visiting, the ship you go on? Is it the length of the cruise, all that kind of stuff? And they usually have 1 to 2 things that they're thinking of. And then that can narrow it down greatly by like what then we can offer. So like more often than not, I get people who say, I want to go out of Florida port and I want this many nights. So if you say that like you want like probably a 5-night cruise, you're probably not doing the Wish unless you are okay with a 4-night. There's some Fantasy and Dreams that are 5 nights, or if you're okay with going up to the 7, then you can do the Treasure. So, and then we have the Destiny coming out. That's going to be doing 5 nights for the most part, but I saw it has a couple 7 nights. Or if they say, well, I really just want to do this ship, I really want to go on the new Treasure. Well, okay, you're stuck with 7 nights, whether you wanted that or not. So, but a lot of people say, well, let's say I have full flexibility with when I can go. I just want to go during the cheapest times. I don't know if this is your experience, but a lot of times for me, August and September, because you take the risk of hurricane season.
Mhm.
But I tell people, like, yes, it's a risk, but the chances of your cruise being affected are very small. It is possible though. So then you get the travel protection or check with your credit card or something. But I also say May and January are great times as well.
Yeah.
I have found some extremely cheap cruises in May and January.
Those,
So
those are the 4 months that are definitely the most affordable and wide open too.
yeah. Yeah.
And you brought a good point about hurricane season, because that's a valid concern with cruises, right? It's a valid concern. But even when there is one on the water, Disney's great about slightly modifying the itinerary to where they can still go out there and be far enough away, and you may get an opportunity to visit a place you've never been to before because you know, so
and they're not going to put you in danger. You're gonna totally miss.
It's got to be a pretty widespread area being hit for them to cancel the cruise. I think I've only had one, to be honest with you, 1 or 2 families in all the years I've been doing this, because they couldn't switch to a different itinerary.
Yeah, or I had one last year that she was sailing on the Wish when right after a hurricane came through, and the port hadn't opened that day yet, so they delayed it like 3 hours. So she couldn't board for an extra 3 hours, and she's like, "I'm just glad I'm going." So like they really do try to make it as seamless as possible. That they will only cancel it like if they absolutely had to. And
I'm sure they probably made up for that too to that guest and gave them a little extra magic. So
yeah.
So I got a question for you, Alyssa. There's a lot of cruise lines on the water, right? There's lots of great cruise lines, and I know all of us have done other ones. Why do you think, and I'd love to hear your opinion too, Jen, why is Disney one of the best in the cruising industry?
So I have a perfect example. I just had 3 families that got off a Royal Caribbean cruise yesterday. They had a great time. They especially loved Royal Caribbean's private island, but her next sentence was, "We had a great time. I see why I pay for Disney." So because this cruise that she went on was probably a third of the price of what she normally pays for Disney. But she said the entertainment on Disney you cannot beat. She was like, some of the entertainment, I just wanted to get up and leave. She said the food was amazing. She has kids also with like pretty severe allergies. And every single time, like she went up to a chef, she had to like reiterate what the allergies were and go over it all again. Disney, they're gonna, like, I remember on our Wish cruise, our conference cruise, like we saw our waiter like just walking around, and he's like he remembers our names. He would go
knows your face.
Yes. And like if she had been on a Disney cruise, she would have been like, "Oh, there you are. Like, here, I already have stuff ready for you." Like, that's what the difference in Disney is, like the service, the way that the staff goes above and beyond for you. Like, there's really no, like, you don't have to lift a finger for much.
And it's even more impressive in the fact that we rotate restaurants on Disney, that they still remember who you are and everything by seeing environment changing. But that's, and I'm sure, Jen, you hear the same. That's the thing that I hear the most from my families who try something else and then come back to Disney. It's always either the food or the entertainment. Food and entertainment. I mean,
they also noted too the kids clubs, they could only go select hours like 3 times a day on Royal, when the kids clubs on Disney do have some open houses that you can't just necessarily drop off your kid for, but for the most part you can let your kid go and kind of do your own thing.
Absolutely.
So
and it's a family cruise line too, so you don't have the cigarette smoke smell that you get from the casinos on a lot of the other cruise ships, and that's important to some of my families. They really want to be immersed in a family. The movie theaters, I think, are a step up on Disney Cruise Lines. You know, being able to go on a cruise ship a month and a half ago and see Mufasa or Moana 2 as a first-run movie, and for free. So just so many pluses about the cruise line. But my favorite thing, I think the food is one step up.
Agreed.
Definitely agree. And even just the rotational dining, no other cruise line does that.
No.
So to be able to go between 3 restaurants throughout whatever the length of your cruise is and have a new experience every time, but with your same staff so they know you, that is just like another level.
It's mind blowing. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
And we give you guys free money to go on the ship.
Yeah. Literally, you again can book this on your own for the exact same price, and then I'm going to give you some free money for booking it through me.
Yep.
To do
And
whatever you want with too.
yeah.
So
And Disney Cruise Line, I think, is the only cruise line that has that separated bathroom. So you have a sink and a shower and a sink and a toilet, which is a game changer for a lot of families.
And it may not be the only cruise line that does this too, but they're one of the few that does them on every cruise that they can in the Caribbean. They have fireworks at sea.
Yes.
You know, the pirate night,
Yes.
fireworks right after. It's just immersed in the magic.
Incredible.
The moment you get on the ship,
Yeah.
you know, it's
my clients did note that they missed the split bathroom. So, but what I will know about the different room types, the only room that does not have the split bathroom is a standard interior room. So if you get the standard interior, you're going to have one bathroom. If you get a deluxe interior or any other type of room, then you're going to have that split bathroom.
Yeah.
So they have the Magic and Wonder, the Dream and Fantasy. We got the Wish,
Treasure. Destiny.
And Destiny. And then they're going to have an Asian one, right?
Adventure, which is already booking. So
the Disney Adventure, which is a retrofitted ship that the Disney Corporation bought from a defunct company that went out, and they're making it an amazing Disney ship in
and then
Asia, right?
And then I think, was it 4 or 6 more unnamed ships that are still yet to come? Like their fleet is growing.
I'm really hoping with as big as they're planning to be down the road that there's more and more specials that will be available for families, you know, with cruising. You know, we'll see what happens, but I think that's a hope for a lot of us.
If you're watching this now, it's March 4th of 2025. There's 10 more days to also snag that half off deposit offer. So like if you only want to be able to put 10% down instead of 20, it's not technically a discount, but it's less upfront. Then like reach out to us now, because you want to definitely try and get that if you can. Because I just quoted some people for May of next year. So they have like 8 months, 9, I don't know, I can't do math, 10 months to still pay it off. But then they only have to put so much down.
Yep.
It's a lot.
Yep. Before you guys get into the last but not least biggest brand, Julie and I are going to sign off. We're about to lose our iPad here. But we're
thank you for joining us from Hawaii.
Yes, thank you for hopping on at Aulani.
But like everybody else, we're going to be watching the last 10-15 minutes here when it posts, John. So
yeah.
All right.
Go enjoy your vacation.
Aloha.
Yeah, enjoy yourself.
Yeah, I was going to make a joke about Thanos snapping him, but
you should have. That's great. Right.
Hold on.
Again, can you snap in that?
It's hard.
Oh goodness. All right, so our last Infinity Stone, our last brand, obviously the one that I think most people know, Walt Disney World. So again, we could go so much into this, but I was just going to talk about again what you need to narrow down. So again, like your dates, your resort, how many park days, if you want the dining plan. Like everything else you can kind of figure out later, right? So dates, what would you guys say are the best times a year to go crowd-wise and maybe just like experiencing the parks-wise?
My favorites are February, May, September, and that time between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Those are my favorites.
Yes.
I think I'm right there.
I second the week after Thanksgiving. Some of the best trips I've had have been that week because it's a sweet spot. I mean, so many good experiences during that time. I think the last week of February is a good weekend to go. And also
right after the Christmas
September
crowd too. Right after like the 5th of January and forward through February is pretty good.
As long as you can avoid marathon weekend, because it really depends on where that fits.
Correct.
But, correct.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with you guys on that. Now, granted, I also like if you can handle the heat. I've said the summer, like June and July, have also been fantastic because they always have a promotion. Crowds have not been too insane. It's just a matter of dealing with the heat. Like I feel like that's the worst part.
And
of
it can get really hot. You gotta watch it.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
bad. But definitely the week of the month of September, probably a week after Labor Day, is just when all the schools are like, come on. It's like,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah,
so
it's
easy.
like just homeschool kids are going. All
Yep.
right, so if you figure out your dates, or at least have a general range, then you say, okay, well, what resort? There's like over 25 to choose from, so it's a lot to
Mhm.
figure out. So I always say, again, we can guide you on that. Again, tell me what your necessities are. Do you want a resort with easy transportation? Do you want the cheapest resort? Do you want one with a lot of food options, like a great pool? There's so many
There's
options.
so
Again,
much.
once you can
Mhm.
say like what your must-haves are, then we can narrow it down for you and figure that out
Mhm.
for any price point, really.
Right.
So
Yep.
you get the resort, and then number of park days. So I personally always say if you can do like at least a week, like Saturday, Sunday through Saturday, then I say do 2 park days, a rest day, 2 park days. For the really adventurous people, we could do all 5 park days and repeat one. But
I think if you're
personally,
really adventurous, you get the park hopper. But
true.
yes, yeah, like if you're really hardcore, I mean,
Yeah.
So that's the difference between going with young kids
Mm-hmm.
or older kids or no kids. You know,
Mhm.
if you've got younger kids, you've got to build in that buffer day.
You have to.
oh yeah,
You
yeah,
have to.
yep.
So all right, so you identify the park days. And if you're gonna do less than 4, let's say you're gonna do 3, again with the little kids, I say, all right, what park are you gonna cut out? Right now, a lot of people, I love Animal Kingdom, but I've been telling people to cut it out just because the whole
There's
Dinoland
so much,
transformation, so much
Yeah, a
construction.
lot of construction.
There's very little that the little kids can ride, so it's gonna be more of the shows and the animals. So that's what I usually recommend because I think Hollywood Studios and Epcot get overlooked for little kids. There's so much for them to do at
There's
both
a
of those
ton.
parks.
A ton.
Yeah. So, and again, if you're older, any of the parks is great. So,
Yep.
so yeah, so then you narrow it down to the parks, and then if you want the dining plan or not. So there's only 2 right now. There's the quick service dining plan, get quick service meals per night, resort mug, snack per night, and then the Disney dining plan, which is the same thing essentially, but then you replace one of those meals with a table service.
It's
So-
because the people like us who bought the signature for when they did a split stay, like we ruined it for the rest of you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Stay pack? No, I'm kidding.
So keep in mind too, for like the people that want that table service, just make sure you understand that that's going to take a little bit extra time out of your travels. So
Mhm.
if you're okay with that, and if you're a foodie, you know, that might be the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell like people are like, is it worth it? And I say it can be, but like you maybe want to do the character meals that are only 1 credit. That's an excellent use of the dining plan, right? Or if you enjoy an alcoholic beverage, or maybe you don't usually get one because you don't want to pay for it, but you're like, oh, I would love one if it's included in my dining plan. Maybe then it's for you. If you have picky eaters like I do with a husband and a son who like the same 4 things, no, it's not worth it. If I'm going with my friends, 1,000%, we could get the dining plan and really maximize it. But with my family, it's not really worth it. Yeah. So, and I always say too, like, I am not here to make you spend more money at Disney. I'm here to do truly whatever is best for your family. And so, like, that's when I'll say, for my family, it's not worth it. So if you have a similar situation, I'm not going to say to get it because then it's not going to be worth your money. So, yeah, you guys think of anything else you need to know?
Oh gosh, specials drop 4 to 6 months prior to, you know, the next season, I guess. And we can always modify an existing reservation if a great special comes in that might have a dining plan option in it. We can always modify your reservation. That's something that people don't realize that we can do is even if you're not set in stone. So that's a nice thing for when you use a travel agent.
My tip always is to book the max of what you think you could get. Like if I think I could do 5 park days in the Disney dining plan, but I'm not sure and I might want to save some money and do less, book the 5 days in the Disney dining plan, because then you lock in that rate of what you're paying now, and then we can always modify it later and remove some things.
Yes.
But like someone told me that once, they're like, well, what if the price of food goes up between now and your trip? The Disney dining plan was an excellent thing, because then you just locked in that rate and you're not paying.
When Disney announces like food prices and like stuff going up, lock it in. You know, say if you like book in like February, March, and inevitable, they really didn't make us think about it last year, but prices do go up. You know, so I mean, book early. Anything else we want to add, guys, before we head out?
2026 should be opening up any time.
I know we've got a list of people.
Me too. Like last year, they gave us like 12 hours notice, I felt like. So it literally can happen anytime. Get on our VIP list now, because then we're going to get through when there's like that little waiting room for you to even get into the site, and we'll do that for you and get your quotes and everything.
We do everything. So. Why wouldn't you book with us? So, I mean, like, come on. So, man, we did a lot. We snapped. We
we did the snap.
We did the snap. We like dusted. I mean, Jeff's in Hawaii. He don't care. Like he's in Disney. Like
me to Hawaii, please. Oh goodness.
But how awesome is that we got to have him directly at Aulani to talk about it. So that was pretty
cool. Definitely cool. So that's gonna do it for us, man.
All right.
We're out of here. Again, momentsofmagictravel.com for all your travel needs. Hit us up on social media. We're not doing the lives anymore, but we're posting right after. So, like, of course, we're gonna maybe posting to the agency travel the agency Facebook page. We'll see where it goes. But anyway, I'm done talking. It's for Jeff, for Jen, for Alyssa. I'm John. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
I'm out.